Got no milk for my coffee.
You didn't wear orange today.
I didn't get the memo. No.
Sorry. Thought it was on the calendar.
We'd.
Hit the too many windows open. Oh yeah, compressor's starting up. We're gonna have a good 7 minutes of whirling. Too many things open. I don't even know. I just had like an entire other set of windows open. It's just like all of my normal help desk, parts department, Facebook, Shopify, just running fine. Brave does this interesting thing. Maybe others do and don't tell you, but like if you don't use tabs for a while, it removes the memory from them and it shows you how much it saved. It's kind of interesting.
Who does that?
It's called Brave. It's like a Chrome without the nasty stuff.
Yeah, nice.
No, it's just a whole browser.
Oh.
Brave browser. I've been using it for quite a while. I like it a lot.
Non-standard browsers, eh? Well then, maybe I'll migrate away from strange buggy Safari to strange buggy something else.
Block ads, save data. Yeah, it's been pretty good. I'm sure it'll have some type of issue, too. They'll eventually have something that you're like,
Yeah, something always breaks, but cool.
Is that super loud compressor?
Nah. You're cursing
It just
about.
have been so slow. Finally just had a sale.
How slow?
Remember we used to have to clap?
Oh, yeah.
Now it's just like Squadcast just takes care of it.
Finally had a
syncing
sale.
up the files, man. Yeah, it's been slow as hell. I've had a bunch of conversations with customers like, oh, I'm going to totally buy some pedestals, feeling like it's going to be soon. And then, just whenever you're on the other side of the sales situation, it's always like, what, is it going to come now? Is it going to come now? I got bills to pay,
Yeah.
And just waiting. So, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. How's your marketing machine, given that you're selling products?
Not great. It's not. I feel like it takes a big, it's almost like turning yourself into an extrovert to like market your business, even online. And I'm just like, I don't know what it is, just not in that extrovert mood at the moment. So I've been poor at marketing lately, but I don't know. You've been doing all right.
It is a mood-based thing, isn't it? I do the same thing.
For me, it is.
Yeah, totally. Putting yourself out there.
Like I've been thinking about that lately. This exact thought of like laying in bed, just thinking, "Yep, got to start doing more videos, more marketing, more posts." That's always a good way for us to, it's basically advertising in a certain way.
Oh yeah.
And I was thinking like, there's got to be people that I don't know how to describe it, that feel the same way, but they just like wake up and they're like, they can just flip a switch and they're like promo. They're like, hello, how are you doing today? And like seconds before they were just like, yeah, exactly. They got that like, I'm just, just totally different vibe. And I've never really been like that. I'm kind of the same person through the day usually.
Do you have to be Showboat Justin? Nobody likes Showboat Justin, surely.
Oh man, maybe when I like was in high school and like trying to impress people, I guess, in different ways.
But I know what you mean. Like
probably not. It's more just like
Nah, even if you're being yourself, like there's a certain energy that is required to come across on camera. Otherwise, like if I just feel like I'm presenting normally, the footage is just so like deadpan.
Right. There's this one of my favorite podcasts they've talked about a few times how his mother, the host's mother, was a salesperson of some sort, and he would always say like, "You got to smile through the phone," and she's like, "Just try and smile." And like, you sound different. And I'm smiling really big right now, and it's. Do I sound different? Like, do I sound like I'm happier?
I'm looking at you. So it's hard to tell.
Your eyes. Listen to me talk.
Yeah, no, I totally. I make a point of that technique, to be honest. When I'm doing Loom videos for clients, just counting down 3, 2, 1, force myself to smile down the barrel of the lens. It's like, come on.
I filmed like a video last week, and I was like, most of it was facing away from me, and I haven't edited it yet. But then I turned it around to finish it, and I was kind of just like ready to be done, and I realized I was just like scowl at the end of the video, and I was like, well, that doesn't work. Nobody wants to see that.
I thought I'd completely botched that recent video that I made with the kit parts, drawers and doors. Like after I reviewed the footage, I was like, no, this is rubbish. I'm going to have to reshoot. And then
I don't know how you pull those off.
a couple of weeks later, I was just like, no, I have to use it. I don't have time to reshoot. So I started cutting it together, and it's just like, it's cursing every 30 seconds, which turned out to be pretty fun. People appreciated the vibe in the end, I think.
did.
So it was all right. But yeah, I know, and absolutely understand. Like, I feel like my social media effectiveness, or just like my presence, is so dictated by my mood. Like, it'd be nice to sort of break it and systematize it to some extent. Although then maybe it's just, if it's too systematized, maybe then it just becomes transparently boring. But that sounds like a good excuse anyway. But I did have one little like moment recently where, you know, I'd read something, or, you know, one of these TikTok videos telling you how to do content better. It told me to batch produce, so which I'm terrible at. Like, I'll shoot one thing at a time, publish one thing at a time. And that recent shoot that I did, you know, I'm sitting on 40 minutes of footage or something, and then there's enough in there to feed like a fair bit of output. So I think I could probably help myself by getting a bit better at batching and shooting.
Sure.
Kind of as I'm shooting, being aware that this might be multiple outputs, and that's okay, that it's the same setup and stuff.
Just make it really disjointed. Just like cut totally different look, different lighting. That'd be kind of entertaining. Yeah, it's an interesting world. I was just thinking about it as you're talking, is like, you know, I just talk to my infant child and tell them things, because, you know, it's like every word you say to them, you're supposed to like help their brain learn conversation and language and stuff. So we just narrate ridiculous things to them all the time. And I was just thinking about, like, well, what's Daddy gonna do today at work? He's gonna try to be really happy and film videos for the internet. What have you done again?
Oops. Stayed up way too late, and then ended up staying at work. No, dude. Back to my old bad habits of like leaving jobs too late, leaving little jobs that I've deemed too hard to give to anyone else for whatever reason. They're too fiddly or too small or too faffy, or there's too many details in my head. So I'm like, I'll do it. No, I'll do it. And then it's the day before it's due. I'm like, oh, I guess I'm doing it. So I was spraying things till 2:00 in the morning. And then just kind of rolled into bed here at the workshop and woke up bright and early.
You were up pretty early still. Yeah, you're still up. Were you uncomfortable? Was maybe that it? Yeah, I've been staying up too late too, but not for really any good reasons. Well, we had the bloody time change again. That's threw me off for a few days, but you know, it is what it is. You did listen to the How I Built This Leatherman edition?
Yeah, very cool.
My friend Mike sent that to me, and it was like a Saturday, and I was like, oh, I need something to listen to. It's the story of how I built this as a podcast on NPR here, but also just the internet. And it was about Leatherman, or, as I had no idea, this is a very popular multi-tool pocket knife company called Leatherman. And it's just named after a guy named Tim Leatherman. As the host of the show said, like, I just thought it was like from the leather industry or something. It was like a leather tool for men, you know? And no, it's a guy named Tim, and he's from Portland. And I had no idea. I think I knew that the company was Portland based, but there's also like other knife companies here that are really popular. So I just like Benchmade. So I just kind of thought, oh, maybe they're like Nike and Adidas. They just came here to make knives together, you know? But his story is insane. Like, just such a crazy story of like basically thought up you know, imagine a Swiss Army knife if you've never seen one, but it has pliers in it and other kind of more heavy duty fix-it tools. And he kind of came up with that idea and patented it. And it took him 7 years to sell the first one. And I so relate to this guy Even though it didn't take me 7 years to sell my first product, I feel like I've been working a decade to finally get to a form of a business that's like, not the final form, but the form that I was hoping to have at some point, I guess. You know, just you tell your family and friends, like, I'm making this thing, it's going to be good. And they're like, oh, you're going to make some money someday? And I'm like, yes, someday I will sell my first Leatherman.
Yeah, it's an amazing tale. I recommend to listen if you're in product design or development at all. It's quite inspiring, just, and amazing how long it took him to get there and how persistent he was. Like the fact that he stuck with it through all of that, and now sells a bajillion units a day. Like I can't remember what their figures were, but like it sounds like they're a
5,000 a day or something like that.
$30 million
5
business.
to 7.
I think is what I roughly calculated based on the.
No, they sell. He said 9, so they're a $100 million business.
100 million was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I lost count of the zeros, obviously.
Right. Yeah, there was a lot of numbers involved at some point. Just he worked for. These are always the stories that I like take to my wife and like, see, I'm not the only one, and this is worse than my situation. I don't know that we'll end up with $100 million business, but like, please keep trusting that this is going to turn out to be the right thing. And that's a pretty common story, but started out working in his brother-in-law's garage for multiple years, only doing that. And I was like, I cannot imagine. Like, my story of like working in the yoga studio is, I guess, similar. I was still selling things the whole time. It just wasn't quite the scale we're at now. But
Justin's hot yoga needs some Dali applied to it. I think definitely. But I think it's also a testament to just like the single product business model, which I find really inspiring as someone who's trying to refine their business towards down to a single product, but like maybe down to 3. I think, the story of growing something from basically a single concept or a single product, I think super intriguing, and something very attractive about that sort of focus and persistence.
It's a lot of eggs in one basket.
Oh, yeah.
A lot, right? Well, you know what I was thinking? Well, in the beginning of maybe I think this is always the case that people stole ideas, but like he gave his only prototype to like a local, I think it was Gerber maybe. I think Gerber was here. Still is. I don't really know. And they analyzed it and said, no, this is a tool. But I was just thinking like, oh, they're going to steal it. Like you let them just have your only prototype that I guess he patented it. So maybe they couldn't steal it the same way, but that was my first thing, is maybe I'm just used to that happening to me. So,
well, they're a direct competitor these days. Like if you go into a camping store here, you either buy a Gerber or a Leatherman, and they're pretty much the same sort of form factor in terms of functions of the tool. Yeah,
there's a lot of companies that make multi-tool type pocket solutions. Did I send you a photo? I was listening to that and I was wandering around my house, like cleaning and doing other things. I was like, where's I knew I had one. It was up on my dresser and I took a photo and sent it to my friend. I'm pretty sure it's from 2006. It's pretty old. Still working great though.
Yeah, they're great.
I like bringing it camping.
Both Laura and I use one regularly, have one each. I've got one on my tool belt at work if I'm wearing my real boy pants. They're good things. So I think all our chatter of profit first has piqued a few people's interests. I've gotten
a few messages too.
Various messages from people. Some of our Patreon members have reached out, obviously curious and fiddling with it as well. So yeah, there's a few of us playing with this concept at the moment, which is cool. Feels nice.
I definitely have the urge to I've been describing it to Erin because of course she's heard all of my travails and been one of my business therapists unwillingly at times. And I was describing it to her, which she thinks, her reaction to it's kind of interesting, of just I feel so naive, like a person that's never heard of like saving money before. That's kind of how it feels like. And it just feels so ridiculous because in our personal finances from the beginning, we did budgeting. We basically did the envelope thing. It was like a digital version. And we've been lucky to have not a lot of personal debt, but from like school and things like that. But we've always had like an emergency fund as long as we can have, as long as we've been able to. We don't carry credit card debt. And I've just been sitting there staring at myself thinking I think that's what slapped me so hard is like, how the hell did I not connect this with what I already know? Like, it's not that complicated. Why did it seem so complicated to enact? And I've similarly had a couple people write and say like, you bringing that up, I started reading the book and fully admit I'm the same way that I do bank account financing or whatever he calls it, big bank account business.
Yeah.
Where you just look at the money and say, oh, it's good, or no, shit.
Oh, it's such an easy habit to fall into and so natural, I think. So in my Profit First update and my journey at this end, I did first distributions this week. On the 10th, or I didn't do the 10th. I didn't do the 10th, actually. I did the 11th because it was Monday. I think it was Monday the 11th. But yeah, it was fun. Didn't take me long. Punched in the balance.
So how did you actually do
account. It? Well, I logged into my bank account and...
and what's that login?
So I just copied the balance, copy and pasted using Text Sniper, another tool that I've got from you. Thank you, Justin. Do love a bit of Text Sniper. Just copied that into my spreadsheet, which Laura and I built, and it just breaks down the distributions and then rounds them off in another little column, and then just copy and paste those numbers again, and did just multiple back-to-back transfers in my internet banking and split them off into the 5 or 6 accounts I think I've got.
How did it feel?
Good. And then what happened, I was like, cool, all right, now it's 2 weeks before I do that again or whatever. I'll wait. I will actively work on my business to sell more things in that period to then build up the account. As if I'm
we'll
just
wait for the money to come in.
Sitting around waiting for the money.
Like Donald Duck.
And then an interesting thing happened. So because this is the first round, so there's not, there's obviously not much in those accounts. Like there's not much in my materials account yet, for instance. And so 3 days later, I was paying a bill for some, I was paying a $5,000 bill for materials. And I was like, cool, I want to pay this out of my materials account because that's where this money comes from.
Right.
I don't have enough in there yet. I haven't built up sort of enough flow.
That's been the stress for me too, is just like money being moved around and like it's not all in one big bank account now.
But thankfully we'd had a bunch of jobs convert in those 3 days, and so I did I did another distribution 3 days later, and so I did exactly the same thing. I took the income account, took the money that had accumulated in those 3 days and just re-split that again. And by doing that, then I had enough in my materials account to pay that bill.
Yeah.
Which was, just lucky to some extent that a couple of big jobs had converted in that period, which meant that that percentage, my 27% or whatever that's going to the materials account, was then enough to cover that bill. And then, so I don't know, it remains to be seen. I feel like it's going to take a little bit of, obviously not overnight, but it's going to take a little bit of a sort of build up to get those accounts to a point where each of them kind of has enough flowing and enough balance to sort of just ride out the little peaks and troughs of the cycle of the month in terms of what we're spending and when and stuff like that. But
isn't it really like intoxicating to think about like how good it's going to feel when those balances are a little, hopefully, my theory is that they will be 50% more than you really need each month or something.
Yeah, that's something I've been wondering about. It's like, do you build a bit of a float, kind of work to having all of them having a bit of a float, a buffer in them? I haven't kind of wrapped my head around that yet. I mean, the most lumpy one in terms of ups and downs will be that materials account, because it's like, it's kind of, in a way, it's the most inconsistent lumpy expenditure. It's like $5,000 to $10,000 invoice for a material supplier, and then nothing for weeks or minimal dribs and drabs. Or so yeah, that'll be interesting to see how that pans out. And I also had the thought of like, because I'm about halfway through my third read through of the book, I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing a percentage.
I'm still on my first.
God. Maybe I shouldn't be doing a percentage for like payroll, because I know like my payroll is going to be fixed amounts. Maybe I should just be doing a fixed amount distribution for that every fortnight rather than a percentage. But then it
does give you like the extra that's there, you know? I don't know. You can, like he talks about, being a getting things done person, that's similar in that you're supposed to, one of the successes of that, which haven't done for years, is to review on a regular basis, have some reminder, some task reminder to review all your things. And does this need to be moved? I think it's the same. He talks about that, right? You're supposed to distribute it quarterly. Like he talked about like moving the owner draw, take 50% for yourself, which is just crazy to think about for me at this point. But I like the idea. But I think it would be the same of like analyze all the accounts. And for me, I feel like right now I'm just trying to like get the accounts in the right places, but it's going to be interesting to get to a place where it kind of stays somewhat static for a while. And then I'm imagining I'm going to recalculate all the time, like maybe every month, like all of the percentages right, you know? And I think the biggest problem for me, it will be I have so many things that'll go through the operating expense account, which is like payroll and materials and lease. And it's kind of like everything. So it turns into its own big account.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a problem too, I feel like.
Potentially.
Keep split yours out more.
Feels fantastic though to just have like my tax and super account and like just split off.
Right.
And profit. Like, there's money sitting in my profit account, which is a bizarre concept. And I know, like...
Isn't that crazy?
You know, all of that is going to go down towards debt reduction, given the position we're in right now. But it's still, even though it's split off, it's in an account called profit. Like, it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling. So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a lot of those. I've thought about that too. Like, we don't have machine payments, but I do have a loan to pay, that SBA loan I mentioned. And that's basically a fixed amount too. And I thought about, is that something that should be split? And you know, like Mercury can do like a don't let this account fall below this amount kind of thing. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm just kind of trying to get it figured out at this point. But I would say my distributions, I've just been having them do daily as I'm getting it built up. And eventually I'll go to like a bi-weekly thing, I think.
Yeah, cool.
Once it's kind of stabilized, which... The only headache of that right now, which has honestly been just such a welcome change, is Mercury instantly syncs transactions to zero. Like, and I'm so used to like my normal credit union takes so long because I basically have to import them myself. Into zero. So now I can like categorize transactions in Mercury. They get made in there into zero. And I just go and whenever it's all there. So I can run income statements and they work. They're accurate.
Up to date. Awesome.
It's such a difference.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Huge difference for me.
Very cool.
It feels like there's some good progress already. I do also just need to finish the damn book. I'm probably still like halfway through, but that's very typical of me as I get excited, get started, do half of it. Not finish the source material.
Me too. Interestingly, I don't know, like, because in the audio version, he speaks kind of off camera, so to speak, a lot. Like, he stops reading the book and tangents, like, heaps, which is quite enjoyable. But he speaks specifically at the start of it about the fact that the book is kind of front-loaded, like all the critical information's kind of in the first third. And then he says, like, you know, come back and read the rest of it if you can, sort of thing.
My favorite part of the book was at one point after you get through kind of that, information dump and you start to kind of do things, the point when he's like, all right, now do your assessment. And then after that, like maybe 10 pages, he's like, now don't overthink all this. Like, just kind of get it out there. And I had spent like the whole weekend overthinking it. And I was like, shit, I should have just read a little more. All right. So anyway, I think it's going to be, it's a big part of what I think we're both doing. So we'll probably keep talking about this.
Yep.
If you're anyone interested in this topic, I made a playlist that has all of our Profit First related episodes linked into it. And you can just find it in the show notes.
Fancy.
So you can go back through. It's not like linking to where it's at in the show, but
come on, Justin. You can do better.
there's something there. There's something. I'll keep adding them.
Fusion is a royal pain in the ass. I'm sick of it.
Sir, keep going.
Why does it drop?
How so?
Is it just me, or does it drop out constantly? It's feel like every 5 minutes it's like offline.
Server stuff?
Trust this certificate. Don't trust this certificate. I'm offline again. Oh,
it's interesting.
I can't do it. Oh no, I can't save that file for you. I'm offline again. It's like far out.
I did have that same thing happen recently. So I don't know. Maybe they were changing some stuff.
It's been like constant now. Constant.
I've had a lot of updates lately, and the updates have been frustrating me of like, I don't understand why they still can't get down when there's an update. Why, when I click update, why the next time it opens, it's not updated. You've got to open it again, then it updates, then they're like, restart again. And you're like, I just did that. It seems silly for how advanced it is otherwise. I do see that comment whenever you can tell people like have come up in SolidWorks or they're a Mastercam user or something. There's always these comments, even on their social media, they're like, it's the buggiest software I've ever seen. It's like always the same comment. It's like Russian bots or something.
I still love you, Fusion. It's okay. Have they introduced like some sort of AI cam assistant? I saw something in there the other day. Some new cam button.
I asked one of the employees about what they're doing with AI, and it seemed like there's going to be some future stuff potentially because they have endless data, but nothing's really changed lately. The closest is, I wish there was AI cam, but the closest is currently like automated modeling, which is some marketing BS in my opinion, which I don't know that many people would disagree with that inside of Autodesk. It's an attempt, but it's just not very useful.
Early days.
Yeah. I don't know. It's been running stable for me, which is interesting.
Okay.
Haven't had too many problems otherwise.
Australian copper. We're still on copper. It's unbelievable.
Well, you got healthcare, so shut up.
Yes, that's fair. That is fair.
You won't die. No, I don't. Yeah, every time this comes up, I'm like, I got all the internet I want at work, and then I go home and it's back to copper and the horrible company Comcast.
I was chatting to another American. I know two Americans. The other one, I was talking about some healthcare shenanigans that his family's had recently, and how much it was going to cost. And I was like, wow. I broke my leg last year being a silly almost 40-year-old dude in the park, and the only thing I got charged for was $27 for some Panadol when they booted me out of hospital. Like, I got an invoice and that was it.
I won't tell you what our baby cost.
Oh, I know. Yeah, just that concept.
Well, I will actually. I think it was $4,000 with good insurance.
With good insurance, yeah.
And
I mean, the fact that it costs anything blows my mind.
And no other, like, there wasn't surgery. There's nothing crazy. We didn't go to NICU.
Yeah. Wild. Okay. I will never again complain about my internet.
No, it's fine. I just wanted to be silly.
Hi, I'm Jem from Australia. I have a lovely, deep honey voice.
That was really loud. Damn.
Those were the days. Lapel mic tucked under my chin. Yeah.
Right. Somewhere. It was like being in your coffee mug days.
That's right. Yeah.
I missed the coffee mug
video
days.
you sent me of T-Pain doing Blender was the best thing.
Right. I did. Where did it go? It's gone.
I don't know what
Oh,
you did
no.
with the link, but it was fantastic.
Oh, it's here. Thank God for the history. Yeah, I just stumbled onto this video of the rapper T-Pain, who's a seemingly pretty decent human, playing with Blender because he got like motion capture recorded in some studio somewhere, and he loved the idea of it. So he downloaded Blender and started like putting himself recorded into Blender backgrounds. And he's like gotten really into it. It's just amazing to watch.
It's nice to see someone from a different like world talking about like modeling, like I don't know, just someone using CAD speak from like completely different
Right.
creative.
Yeah, he seems like
stream.
he's
Like, it's
definitely
cool.
got it figured out.
Yeah, it's amazing.
More than I do. That program is one of the most confusing things I've ever opened, I think.
Yeah, it's wild.
I will on
What's new in Software Corner?
in software, I did pull open DaVinci that I've had installed since December at least.
Nice.
And I like a lot of what I'm seeing. I barely understand what I'm doing. It seems like going from like Final Cut, if Final Cut was a child's go-kart, that DaVinci Resolve is like flying a jet airliner. The amount of buttons and controls, and like you can do anything in this thing, but you just have to understand it. And I think it's just a perception of layout and UI, whereas a lot of stuff's like hidden in one thing inside of Final Cut. It's like spread open and all there. But so have you used iPhone footage inside of it?
Yes. Yep.
So like I dumped iPhone footage from my iPhone, of course, into it, and I tried to do auto captions, and it's like, you can't do that without paying for it. And I was like, it said something about like it was too high frame rate or ultra high UH, and I don't think it's either, because it's just 30 frames a second.
So you got the
And
free DaVinci?
I don't know. Yeah, did you pay for it?
I had the client give me a license. So I've got the Pro one.
Okay.
So
That
I
makes
don't
more
know.
sense. I was like, I don't know. Maybe it was just me.
I know
and how I used it the
before I
one
had that
time.
license, when I had the free version, there were definitely some limitations around. I couldn't do 4K vertical, and there was something else that wouldn't let me do that I kind of wanted.
Really? Hey, I saw one of those social media gurus a while back on that topic say no, to only do 1080p for some reason.
Yeah,
I don't remember why. On like,
I've exported all my vertical video at 1080 since seeing one of those content TikToks that convinced me of like that seemed like a good
gurus.
idea. Yeah, cool.
well, I have a minor announcement, and this is partially so that I have some accountability. We're going to hold in-person training in April
Ooh.
for CNC routing because
I'll be there.
I've wanted to do it forever. I wanted to do training in 2019 before the pandemic. Got sidetracked there a little bit for some good reasons, I guess. Frustrating reasons. And we've had a lot of requests. We get a couple a week for that kind of thing.
Wow.
And we have a sign up for people that are interested, which I'll probably put in here. And I'm just at this point trying to like finalize what the syllabus is, how we're going to do it, what's involved, probably dates, and how I'm actually going to like take orders for it. Like we have a couple ways to do it, but yeah. So if you're interested or know somebody that's interested or any of that, or what you might want in this training, definitely just message me or email us through our website or something. And we'll probably have more details as we go forwards. But yeah, that's my commitment at this point, because we've needed to do this for us and for the people that would like to do it for many months, many
that's
years,
exciting.
probably.
Awesome. Good work.
Yeah, thanks.
Good work. Make it happen.
All right.
Yeah, I do love that idea. Maybe one day we'll play with that. One day.
One day.
I think that dream for me kind of died a little bit when I really sort of went off the tools in the business a couple of years ago, and I kind of lost confidence with my CAD skills and my CNC skills at that point because it wasn't my daily grind. And the sort of the
Right.
further away I got from that being my daily workflow, the less confident I was that I had value to contribute. So it's been nice to get a taste already, like just in the last little while as a few more things have sort of come back on my plate of like, yeah, I can still do this. Yes, I'm rusty. You know,
All right.
I was machining stuff last night and sort of cursing under my breath because of like how out of practice I am in many ways and like making silly mistakes in Fusion and losing parts and, you know, late as well, which doesn't help. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting a little bit more time on the tools, both CAD
Right.
and machines.
I mean, if you did, just thinking about like if I had your setup to do training similarly, like I don't know how Johnny feels, but like you could split up like computer stuff versus or like I don't intend to cover any design things. That's not really the point at this point. It's you know, CAM and Fusion and you know, basics of how CNC routers work well, tooling, some minor fixturing things. So
Yeah, cool.
all the kind of basics. But in that thought too, it's like it's easy to what I've been so I guess push forward to do this kind of thing is it's easy for us to just think, oh, well, doesn't everybody know these things, I guess, because we've been doing it for so long that and the internet's all out there. But it's like I think there is from my perspective, there's been so much, even through the pandemic, we had people asking for in-person training. I think people just learn differently like that and want to learn from somebody in person. And so, yeah, anyway.
Oh, yeah, it's hugely valuable.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Great. I wish I could just duck around.
Maybe we'll do a parts department
Join in.
discount someday.
Yeah. Well, I should probably go and finish these parts. The only other thing I had on my list was kind of looping backwards a little bit, but I just an interesting little anecdote. Doing a job for Ableton at the moment, the music software people, and I was chatting to the client, you know, my rep from Ableton on the phone, and we're talking about, you know, the deposit to get the job going, and she was like, oh yeah, we only pay on the 10th or the 25th. And my little profit first brain was like,
Did you ask him?
here's a big business playing that game. Interesting. Cool.
Interesting. That's better than a lot of them that are like some of the big clothing companies around here are like, oh, we pay 60 days after delivery. And you're like,
No, you're
how
not
is that
to me,
fair?
you don't.
You know? Then we aren't working together. I don't know. Like,
Yeah,
we can't
exactly.
live like that, you know?
No, that's a hard no from me.
Doesn't
See
make
you
it
later.
like it just feels really greedy to me, you know, in those
Yeah.
regards of like they know they can do it, they know they can hang on to their money longer, and so they just do it. But you know, all the smaller companies, like I don't know, you have to have so much cash just sitting around to cover all the stuff to get that far. Maybe with profit first, we'll get there. That's cool. Are they? Is Ableton an Australian company?
No, I think they're Japanese actually.
Interesting.
Tell you who is Australian: Blackmagic and DaVinci Resolve.
Oh, been in your backyard the whole time.
Yeah, Melbourne.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
Melbourne.
Melbourne. Hi, I'm Jim. Stop it.
You hate that one, I think, don't you?
Yes.
I can stop.
I've never been one to, like, I'm one of those Australians who, whenever I travel, it's not as bad these days, but like when I was a year younger traveling, I would just like, if I heard another Australian accent in Europe or something, I'd be like, "Bleh. Ew. Get away. I can't.
Wait.
do this."
Can you Australian? Basically, be like, can you do an American accent or something that's not?
Can I?
Can you do that for an extended period of time? Because I cannot
Yeah.
do an Australian accent for a long period of time.
Oh, yeah, I can try. It probably sounds terrible to your ears, though. But
It's always mind blowing to me the actors that do that. Like, there's so many British actors that done roles in big shows here, and I didn't even know till after
yeah,
that
exactly.
they were British, and I was like, how are you doing that?
Cool, man.
Cool.
Cool.
The end.
The end. Cabin crew, please arm doors and cross check.
That's exactly it. Yeah. That's exactly it. I don't know what we're making. Oh, what he's making. There's like, I got a big monitor for my friend, the same guy that recommended the Leatherman. His office was moving, and he gave me this like 55-inch high definition TV monitor thing that they just were like getting rid of. And so we put it on a rolling cart that used to hold knack wall stuff.
Yeah.
And so Ricky's building a better base for it because it was kind of wobbly. But the goal, that was our first step, other than working on some website stuff, is that's going to be like a teaching screen for the class.
Sweet. Yeah.
Kind of cool.
Nice.
But we hooked it up to his workstation out there. And so he had like VQuo and like Airtable, like 55 inches over a meter wide. It's giant.
Just watching YouTube in the shop.
Yeah, he did. I didn't specifically say like, hey, stop, use this, or we were just kind of joking about how it was fun. I came in today and he had disconnected it. I was like, I think I probably would have used that.
Cool, man.
Pretty cool.
Hanging around.
Yep.
Finish my
See you, man.
shambles.
Bye.